Greetings, listeners and viewers. This is Rosemary Downer with another episode of All Things Faith Walk, the place where we talk about the Word of God in practical, meaningful terms so that you and I can take them and walk them out in our daily lives. So today I'm going to do a bit of teaching. I do not have a guest today, and I will be teaching about a concept that is important to think about in our lives. It's not sin or no sin. It's not a thou shalt not topic, but it's something that if we pay attention to, will help us to be whole, will help us to be more emotionally balanced, will help us to have and maintain healthy relationships. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the difference between secrecy and privacy. The difference between secrecy and privacy. There is a slight difference between the two, and one is more healthy than the other. So that's where I'm going today. If you're new here, you can find me at Books by Rosemary or Books by Rosemary Downer. Our website is booksbyrosemary.com. And so Facebook and Instagram are Books by Rosemary or Books by Rosemary Downer. And the website is booksbyrosemary.com. I have about 10 books on my website that I've published so far. We have books on leadership, we have Bible studies, we have devotional. We also have workbooks. We have a book on forgiveness, a whole study series on that. And we have therapeutic play cards with the workbook. And for that, I also do a retreat around that topic, self-worth, self-awareness, self-care. And also my latest book, Leaders Are Like Giraffes. I do a leadership training on that as well. So go to my website. You can find something there that will edify you if you have not already done so. So like I said, we are going to look at this interesting difference between secrecy and privacy. Let's now take a look at what the differences between these two are. So secrecy and privacy. Secrecy and privacy. Let's go. First of all, before I go into the information, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. So like the video and comment on it. So secrecy and privacy. Both privacy and secrecy keep things from others. So the commonality between the two is that when we have something in secret and when we have something in privacy, in secrecy or privacy, both things or both approaches keep things from others, hide information from others. The difference, there's a difference. So the difference between the two is the motive, the reason, the intent, the desire behind why that thing is kept hidden. Why the secret? Why the privacy? That's the main difference. The moral content or the moral context of why the concealment is taking place is what makes the big difference. So privacy protects a person's boundaries. Privacy helps us to create personal boundaries. When we choose to keep something in private, we choose not to disclose specific information about our personal life, for example, or our family. That it's a choice we make. Secrecy is a choice as well, but it's a choice we make not to disclose personal information about ourselves or family or something that's dear to us. And usually the reason behind the privacy is legitimate. That's the thing to notice. Usually the reason behind privacy, the why a thing is kept in private, usually is legitimate. Usually by keeping something in private, it's not threatening to others. It doesn't harm others. I want you to pay attention to the difference. Remember, we're looking at the motive. It's a motive that makes them different. The reason why something is kept in secret or something is kept in private. With privacy, it's your personal right to establish those boundaries. Privacy. Also, privacy When that thing is hidden, concealed, it doesn't affect another person. It doesn't harm another person, or it's not threatening to another person. And so that then now let's look at secrecy. Secrecy, on the other hand, is usually motivated by something negative, like distrust or shame, all and which are all rooted in fear. So the bottom line is secrecy is rooted in fear, which is often manifested by shame, distrust, um, yeah, fear. So the motivation behind secrecy is negative, while the motivation behind privacy is positive. Secrecy is fear based, where you're afraid of losing respect of others, afraid of what others may think or say about you, afraid of what others will do if they find this thing out. That's what drive a person to secrecy. And privacy usually protect illegitimate behaviors, something that is not favorable about you. That's what secrecy usually hide. Privacy, it's your personal affair. It's your personal business. Shame is something illegitimate or negative. Privacy is more general, where you can keep just about anything in private. Secrecy, on the other hand, is more specific, where it is specific information you're keeping from others. Your life could be a private life in general, but secrecy is something specific you don't want to go public. So, in summary, privacy is legitimate, secrecy is illegitimate. Usually, you're keeping something legitimate undercover when you're private. Secrecy, you're usually keeping something illegitimate undercover. Privacy usually is harmless to you and to someone else. Secrecy often is damaging to someone else and potentially to you who's keeping the secret. Definitely. Privacy often is consensual. There's an agreement. So if it's with your spouse, if it's with your child, if it's with your employer, if it's with someone else, you agree that this needs to stay in the boardroom. This needs to stay on the, the leadership team of the organization, the ministry, the church, whatever, in the family. It's private. So it's consensual. Secrecy, on the other hand, usually is non-consensual. So something happened, and because someone is ashamed, they hide it. Because someone don't have good relationship with others and they can't trust others, they hide it. And it's your personal protection, not in agreement with others. And I'm going to talk about a very damaging secrecy that is very common. Privacy is linked to safety. It's an attempt to be safe or secure. It's linked to ensuring safety and security. Secrecy is linked to fear and insecurity. See the difference? Privacy is linked to wanting to stay safe and secure, while secrecy, again, is rooted in fear and insecurity. Privacy creates boundaries. Secrecy creates barriers. There is a difference. Privacy creates boundaries. Secrecy creates barriers. Huge difference. Now, so again, in summary, privacy is not threatening. Secrecy is threatening. It dominates a person's life. It can be harmful to the person who's holding the secret, because it consumes your life, because you have to work to keep it a secret. And usually, whatever is kept secret should be known. I want you to pay attention to that. It should be known. And usually, whatever is kept secret gets worse the more it's kept secret. The longer it's kept in secret, the worse the situation gets. So secrecy worsens a situation. And if it worsens a situation, more than likely, it's worsening the person who is keeping the secret. And often the persons from whom or person from whom the secret is kept. So overall, secrecy is damaging. And it demands a lot of attention because you're hiding this thing and you're anxious about it because you don't want anyone to know about it. Privacy comes with peace. And we have said it a couple times already. Secrecy comes with fear and shame. Privacy is, it's your business. It's good stuff, but it's not for the masses to know. Peace. I'm not really anxious if people find out about it, but I would prefer to maintain this boundary where I can maintain my own privacy. But secrecy, because it is rooted in fear and shame, it comes with anxiety, not peace. So we must understand that privacy is a basic human need, and it is a basic human right. All of us must have some level, some degree of privacy. And we have a right to it, and we need some level of privacy. There's an interesting quote by Carl Jung. He's a psychologist. And he says, the possession of secrets acts like a psychic poison that alienates the possessor from the community. So let me put that in our easier to understand way of saying it. The individuals who have secrets, those secrets are like psychic mental poisons to those individuals who hold secrets. And the secrets alienates them from other individuals. Yeah, that's what secrets do. Secrets are damaging. Secrets are not healing. Secrets don't benefit you. There's a difference between privacy and secrets. So when we hold secrets, they're poison to our mental well-being. They're toxic to our mental well-being. And these secrets alienate us from others because we're too busy covering this thing and we're fearful that people are going to discover what we're hiding. So it alienates us from others. Privacy, this is a putting it all together that I just described. Privacy and secrecy differ. This is the main thing, one of the main things I want you to remember here is privacy and secrecy differ based on the moral content of the behavior or the information that is concealed. So usually what's kept in private is, again, legitimate. It's okay, it's correct, it's right. But what's kept in secret is illegitimate. It's wrong, it's shameful, it shouldn't happen. Okay? So the moral content of what's hidden usually is good for privacy and not good for secrecy. A secretive person has something to hide and they are fearful of discovery. You said that. A private person, on the other hand, has decided that some things are not to be shared with others and they do not choose to disclose those things. And we all have a right to that. However, too much privacy can border secrecy. Okay? Too much privacy. If everything about you is private, if nothing about you can be said, you're bordering now secrecy. Why? Because now you're operating out of fear. You're operating out of distrust. We have a right to privacy, but when we become too private, why are we too private? What are we afraid of? So now you're bordering secrecy. You're moving in the dimension of secrecy, and secrecy is never healthy. Privacy and secrecy are like peacemaking and peacekeeping. And I want to talk just real quick about peacemaking and peacekeeping. They're different. Privacy is kin to peacemaking. Secrecy is kin to peacekeeping. So peacemaking, you deal with the issue. You seek to reconcile the issue. So even though it's private, you still address the issue. The world doesn't have to know that the family has a disagreement in what to do with mom's house that has deceased. Mom didn't put a will in place. And this is something that happened a lot in families. Mom's legacy, her bank accounts, her all of what she left, she didn't state how it should be spent. Right? So there is conflict in the family. There's conflict among the siblings. There's conflict among the children. That can be kept private. It can be kept within the confines of the family, but you don't want peacekeeping, you want peacemaking. So you deal with the issue of the grudge and the anger and the people feeling like they're overlooked and there's partiality and there's bias. You deal with it, but in privacy. Secrecy, peacemaking would be where you know the feelings are there and the elephant is in the room and the conflict is there, but everybody just walk around it. Still smile, still have Thanksgiving together, but never deal with it. That's peacekeeping. And so you have secrecy now creeping in because it's shoved under the rug. It's just tucked away and no one is dealing with it. So peacekeeping is, you know the issue is there, but you cover it up. Peacemaking is, you know the issue is there, but you deal with it with the aim of reconciling, of fixing it, but it can be done in privacy. Now, secrecy and lying are cousins. They relate to one another. You almost can't keep a secret without lying. Hear me good. You almost cannot keep a secret without lying. So while secrecy and lying may, and I should say often include a level of deception, a secret is an act of omission, while lying is an act of deception. That's the definition. Secrecy is omission, lying is deception. But at the same time, with secrecy, and you're omitting some information, we are often deceiving others to let them believe otherwise. So, grandpa molested granddaughter. Grandpa molested granddaughter. This is something that happens a lot in families. Uncle molested niece. Father molested daughter. The daughter, the child in the family that doesn't look like the others, is a child brought in by the wife after having an affair. That's kept, all of what examples I just gave are kept in secret. Anytime an issue come up and close to any of those, there's an effort to deceive others. So a cousin begin to ask about this child, or a cousin begin to ask about patterns and behaviors that they're seeing, and grandmother know that grandpa is a child molester, that he touches the younger children, and she answers in a way to cover up for her husband. Deception, in other words, lying. So it's hard to keep a secret without lying, because in order to keep it undercover, you've got to keep people at bay from it, and oftentimes it requires a lie. Secrecy and lying are related. Privacy now, someone coming, because it's nothing bad, it's like you just set the boundary. That's not something I choose to talk about. That's not something I choose to share. You're telling the truth. You can say that with a straight face, and if they find out, there's no reason for shame. You just want your business to be kept at a certain level. So shame and lying are related. Now, the other thing, remember we talked about the mental toxin that secrecy brings to the mind, the toxicity that secrecy brings to the mind. Secrecy is toxic. It's toxic to families, it's toxic to relationships, it's toxic to the person who's carrying the secret. Secrecy does not give the opportunity to discuss the issue with anyone. So, molestation happened in the family, and you are sworn to secrecy. You now have to carry that secret all the days of your life, or for as long as that secrecy is intact. Yeah, you were molested by an uncle, by an older sibling, by your father, and you're sworn to secrecy. The tone of the family doesn't open the door for you to mention it. You listen, and the person who molested you silenced you. That's secrecy. You have no opportunity to discuss this issue with anyone else. And this toxicity mainly hurts you that is carrying the secret, because it's turning over in your mind, it's ruminating in your mind, it's stirring in your mind, but you can't get it out because you are zipped tight. And there are so many consequences to secrecy that for as long as we hold our mouths shut, as long as we keep that secret, we are in a death sentence covenant with the enemy. That's what secrecy does. It's a signed agreement empowering him. As long as we have that secret, the person who swore us to secrecy has the power over us. So secrecy is toxic. Secrecy is bondage. Family secrets can be harmful. They create toxic environments within a family. They break up relationships. They cause tension and anxiety. They alienate each other, cause loneliness, cause stress-related symptoms, sleeplessness, even headaches. That's what secrecy does. Distrust, broken people get divorced because of discovered secrecy, because of uncovered secrecy. People stop talking to their mother, their grandmother, their aunt, their uncle, because secrecy came out, secrets came out. They damage relationships. Family secrets can, as I said, lead to distrust. It can lead to resentment. It can cause shame. So mom knows what her husband is doing. She knows what the husband is doing to the nieces and the cousins. She's ashamed. Or she's being abused. And it's a secret because she is ashamed. Secrecy can make it difficult to share personal or sensitive information with others, even others that are in relationship with them. Secrecy can stop you from getting the help you need. So yes, family secrets are harmful. Family secrets are harmful. It can cause harm mentally, mental health, physical symptoms. We talked about the headache, the migraines. Family relationships, we talked about that. Family members may experience tension, anxiety, and loneliness and stress-related symptoms. We talked about that. Family secrets are harmful. It can even harm you so that you are hesitant to go into another relationship. Or in a relationship, if as a child you were molested by your uncle, your older brother, your older cousins, your father, it's going to interfere with how you see romantic relationships. It's family secrets. But when it's not kept a secret, when it's dealt with, you can get the healing you need. It can be addressed when it's dealt with. But if it's kept a secret, it just sits there in your stomach like a toxin, and that's continued to poison your psyche, poison your perspective on life, on relationships. Yeah, that's what secrecy does. It should be dealt with. So I just want to touch on a couple of scriptures here because the Bible does talk about secrecy. I do want to say, however, that where we see the word secret in these passages of scriptures, it's speaking of privacy based on my definition that I just gave you. So a gossip goes around telling secrets. A gossip goes around telling private business. So don't hang around with chatters. So what's kept in private, because it's legitimate, it should be kept in private. If a person confides in you about something that is private, legitimately private, a legitimate act is private. I am getting ready to, I don't know, buy a house. I'm going to relocate from where I live across the country, and I'm looking and buying a house, but I'm not ready to tell the world. I'm not ready to tell my group, my friends, my extended family. I'm not ready yet, but I confide in you. It's a legitimate act, but for now, it's private. And it's not your business to chatter about it. Chapter 25 of Proverbs, the latter part of verse 9 and verse 10 says, don't betray another person's privacy. Bible says secret, but it's really privacy. Don't betray another person's privacy. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never regain your good reputation. So because privacy is legitimate, good information that the person chooses to put a boundary, not barrier, boundary around, for now, it is not your place to go and chatter about it. So when you give to the needy, this is Matthew 6, 2-4, another scripture about privacy. When you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, to be honored by men. When you give to the needy, keep it private. See, it's a legitimate act. Keep it. Don't tell everyone about it. If you help a sister, a brother, you don't need to announce it. Your right hand don't need to know what your left hand has done, and vice versa. Keep it private. I tell you the truth. The hypocrites, received their reward in full. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. Jesus even repeated it. So there are some things that should legitimately be held in private. There are some things that should be legitimately be held in private. I want to thank you for joining me on this study today. We've looked at the difference between privacy and secrecy. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, like the channel, share what you have heard so someone else can be blessed. Again, Facebook and Instagram are Books by Rosemarie and Books by Rosemarie Downer. Website is booksbyrosemary.com. Once again, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of All Things Faith Walk, the difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is legitimate. Secrecy is illegitimate. Privacy will not harm the person who is keeping the information in private, neither will it harm someone else. Secrecy is toxic. It will harm the person who's keeping it in secret and those also. Privacy builds boundaries, and we all have a right to privacy. Secrecy, on the other hand, build barriers. And we're told that in the book of Proverbs that we should not gossip and chatter about people's private business. Amen. And when we help the needy, we should keep that in private. So we want to be healthy. We want to be whole. We want to be solid, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially. And this is one way we can walk by faith, by trusting the Father to guide us and lead us. What privacy worth? And what is secrecy worth? And look at the detrimental effects of secrecy, especially in families. So once again, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of All Things Faith Walk. I pray that this was a blessing to you. Again, Books by Rosemary or Books by Rosemary Downer, booksbyrosemary.com is where you can find many, many materials are on my website that I know will bless you. Again, thank you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you grace and peace, and his mercy continue to abound richly in your lives. Until next time, the Lord bless you.